Hello, kids. It's time for your solutions to the online homework number 2, probability. Here you go. Number 1, you flip a coin 4 times. What are the odds you get? What are the odds you get exactly? 2 heads, 4 tails, at least 3 heads. Well, first I'm going to figure out each time I flip a coin, it's 2 outcomes. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. That's 4 2s. So that's 4, 8, 16. So everything's out of 16. Exactly 2 heads. Ugh. So that means I could have, let's look at the combinations. I could have heads, heads, first 2 flips, then tails, tails, last 2 flips. They're going to have to, they don't have to stay together. Oh, gosh. So I could have heads, tails, heads, tails. Then I could have, wow, this is going to be a lot. Heads, tails, tails, heads. Right. I could have them in the middle together. Tails, heads, heads, tails. I could have them all the way on the right. Tails, tails, heads, heads. I feel like I'm missing something. So there, in the middle on the right. 1 and 3, 1 and 4. I need 2. Yeah, I need tails, heads, tails, heads. Right? There we go. That's all the combinations, I think. Does that look right to you? I've got insides and outsides. First 2 and last 2. First and third, second and fourth. Yep. That's all the combinations. So there's 6. Whew. Out of 16. That was a tough one to start off with. And that simplifies down to 3 over 8. Exactly 4 tails. Well, there's only one outcome. That's 4 tails. So that's 1 out of 16. At least 3 heads. Okay, so this one's a little bit easier because there's less possibilities. Heads, 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 tails. Heads, heads, tails, heads. I'm just going to move the tails over each time, one closer to the start. And then it's tails, heads, heads, heads. It says at least, so that means I can also do heads, 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 heads. So that's 5 out of 16, which does not simplify. Okay. Now I'm going to roll a die. What is the chance you roll a 2? Well, 2 is one possible outcome out of the 6 sides of a die. An odd number. Well, that's 1, 3, and 5. So 3 out of the 6, which is 1/2 of the possible outcomes. A number that starts with F. Oh, that's 4 and 5. So 2 out of 6, or 1/3. Moving over to a 1 or a 6, that's the same. 2 out of 6, or 1/3. Okay. Number 3, you roll 2 dice. What is the chance of rolling 2? Well, that's only the 1 and the 1. So, looks like a guy with glasses. That would be 1 out of 2 dice is 6 for each die, so 36 is my denominator. Yeah. 8. Ugh. Of course, you guys probably looked at your notes. I'm going to go back and think about it. I remember that, let's just do it. 8 can be a 4 and a 4. It can be a 3 and a 5. A 5 and a 3. A 2 and a 6. A 6 and a 2. Am I missing anything? You can't do 1 and a 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 36 for 8. A number greater than 10. Well, that's going to be 11 and 12. 12, there's only one way you can get it. So 11 is 5 and 6 and 6 and 5. So that's 1, 2, 3 possible number combinations out of the 36. And that simplifies down to 1, 3 goes into 36 12 times. So 1 out of 12. And there are your solutions for online homework number 2.